from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the national news of Rupavahini ChannelEye. I'm Dilanjali Ananda.
I'm Niket Karunaratna, and we'll start off with the headlines as usual. India, France and Japan to announce a new platform for restructuring Sri Lanka's debt. The dawn of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year is at 2:59 p.m. tomorrow. A further 1 million eggs imported from India distributed among local food producers. A new Gazette notification to ensure consumer protection. The Asian Development Bank eyes cheaper funds for Sri Lanka and green bond support. A Myanmar junta airstrike kills 165 civilians.
For those and other stories in detail in your top story. India, France and Japan will announce a new platform for creditors to coordinate restructuring of Sri Lanka's debt later today.
The official joint announcement will be made during a press briefing scheduled to be held in Washington on the sidelines of the spring meetings 2023 of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund. As chair of this year's Group of 7 meeting, Japan has put in the efforts to address debt vulnerabilities of middle-income countries such as Sri Lanka as among priorities for debate. The announcement of the new platform, initiated by Japan, France and the G20 chair India, will be made later today. The platform will likely consist of a series of meetings of the creditor nations to discuss the debt. Japanese Minister of Finance Shunichi Suzuki, Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and France Treasury Director General Emmanuel Moulin will be representing the 3 creditor nations at the meeting. China, Sri Lanka's largest bilateral lender, has also been invited for the meeting. In addition, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank and other international organizations, as well as the private sector, will participate in the debt restructuring discussions. The virtual participation of Sri Lanka President Ranil Wickremesinghe has also been scheduled. State's Finance Minister Shehan Semasinghe, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and Treasury Secretary Mahinda Sirivartana, who are currently in Washington for spring meetings 2023, are set to take part in the discussions as well. Now, the Asian Development Bank is considering more concessionary funding for Sri Lanka and support for green bond issues.
These initiatives will be undertaken as part of ADB assistance to help the country to recover from the economic crisis, according to Bloomberg Global News Agency. ADB Sri Lanka Country Director Chen Shen said in an interview that the Manila-based lender's immediate priority in 2023 is to continue work on overall economic stability and support the banking and energy sectors. He said that ADB is attempting to mobilize funds below the already concessional ordinary capital resources facilities currently accessible for Sri Lanka. Through 2022, the ADB disbursed around $334 million by repurposing existing project loans. The lender already has about $3.7 billion of previously approved loans in various sectors, including transport, energy and education, which will be disbursed as projects in progress. The ADB country director said that Sri Lanka is now conducting an asset quality review of banks with ADB support and is discussing reforms to improve governance and financial sustainability for the power sector. The ADB is also working with local authorities to prepare the groundwork to sell green or blue bonds after economic stability is restored. The lender expects Sri Lanka's economy will contract by 3% this year and expand by 1.3% in 2024 after shrinking by 7.8% last year. A Sinhala and Tamil New Year will dawn at 2:59 p.m. tomorrow.
New Year rituals will begin from tomorrow evening. The Nakat Seed Tour, which consists of the table of auspicious times for the new year, was prepared by the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. The Punya Kala will prevail from 8:35 am to 9:23 pm tomorrow. People are encouraged to prepare for the new year by setting aside all work while prioritizing religious observances. The new year will dawn at 2:59 pm tomorrow.
The auspicious time for the preparation of meals is at 3:29 pm tomorrow. It is appropriate to prepare milk rice mixed with curd and sweetmeat mixed with jiggery in Velanda by setting up a hearth facing south while clad in mixed colors.
The auspicious time to engage in work, transactions and partaking of meals is at 5:05 pm, clad in mixed colors and facing east.
The ritual of anointing of oil has been carried out using nanu and oil mixed with imbul leaf extract by placing imbul leaves over the head and nuga leaves under the feet at the auspicious time of 9:41 am on the 16th of April while facing south and dressed in red and yellow mixed colored clothes.
The auspicious time for the ritual to leave for work is at 6:28 am on Monday, the 18th of April, dressed in white clothing after consuming a meal prepared with milk rice mixed with curd and sweetmeats or facing south.
The ritual to plant a sapling is at 6:38 am on April 20th, clad in gold-colored cloth while facing direction of east.
The national television will bring the live New Year telecast from the residence of Gunasoma Mallavarachi in Belgoda. The New Year rituals will also be fulfilled at the main lobby of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation.
A significant improvement has been recorded in fuel sale. In a tweet, Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that this improvement has been achieved in the last 7 days. Overall percentages of sales through the National Fuel Pass QR system has improved above 80% from below 60% last week. In the meantime, the permits of 66 fuel stations have been temporarily suspended for failure to adhere to National Fuel Pass QR guidelines. The minister said that arrangements have also been made to increase the quantity of fuel distributed during the festive season to 4,650 metric tons of 92-octane petrol and 5,550 metric tons of auto diesel per day. The Fuel Station Owners Association said that sufficient oil stocks have been stored in fuel stations during the festive season.
Now, the Colombo bus station and the railway station were seen fairly busy today, with the people queuing up to leave for their hometowns to celebrate the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. However, the usually busy cross streets and main streets of Petta were seen deserted today. People were seen queuing up at the private bus station at the Bastian Mavata in Petta to catch long-distance buses. However, several passengers claimed that sufficient buses to various destinations, including Kataragama, had not been facilitated. Some passengers were seen waiting at the bus station for long hours. Many SLTB buses were deployed from the central bus station to various destinations today. Many passengers flocked this morning at the Colombo Fort railway station to leave for their hometowns. The Railways Department has said that additional train journeys have been facilitated to Badulla, Kandy, Gaul, Veliyatta and Anuradhapura until the 16th. Large crowds were seen today at the Maharagama town to purchase clothes and essential goods for the new year. A Gazette notification has been published over the direct trade and network marketing. Relevant directives were issued through the Gazette on the sale of goods by having discussions or demonstrations. Accordingly, the legal framework of the direct trade and network marketing will be further strengthened through the Gazette. The Gazette notification has issued many other directives pertaining to advertising, displaying, promoting and undertaking orders for the sale of goods. Under the Gazette, all direct traders
are required to register with the Consumer Affairs Authority. They are further required to issue a customer a receipt or bill either in printed or electronic form. The Gazette notification has further indicated that the traders should refrain from using misleading statements, addresses, demonstration of details of addresses, exhibiting explanations as well as telephone numbers, email addresses, documents, photographs or footages of promotions and propagations through electronic, print or any other media platform. Direct traders, as specified in the Gazette notification, are the individuals engaged in the sale of goods by way of mobile sale, by meeting customers and negotiating, exhibiting, demonstrating or by way of other similar activities. The Gazette has also pointed out that network marketers are the individuals engaged with the new consumers directly through the promotion of products using advertising material and user recommendations. The Gazette notification issued under the authorization of Chairman of Consumer Affairs Authority, Shanta Nirialla, has mentioned that the new directives will be declared from April 12, 2023.
Another consignment of eggs imported from India last Wednesday was distributed among bakery producers today. Chairman of the State Trading General Corporation, Asirivali Sundara, said that 1 million eggs will be issued. Steps were taken to distribute the third shipment of eggs received from India after obtaining the approval of the Animal Production and Health Department. Another shipment of 1 million eggs set to reach the country tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Consumer Affairs Authority has taken 4,000 eggs hoarded in a trade store in Havelia area. Nuarelia. Charges were levelled against the store owners over the failure to sell the hoarded egg stocks. Another raid was conducted by the Consumer Affairs Authority to identify individuals who sell substandard potatoes, onion and vegetables in Peta. Raids are conducted to detect stores which sell substandard consumer goods during the festive season.
Festivals and ceremonies have been organized across the country, marking the dawn of Sinhala and Tamil New Year. It is also significant that foreign tourists have taken part in these festivities this year. Lanka Economic Council and API organization organized a new
United Teachers Union requests university lecturers to immediately commence the GCE Advanced Level Examination Paper Evaluation. The union has pointed out that many issues in the education sector will arise due to the delay in examination of paper evaluation. Examination Department has taken steps to increase the daily allowance extended for teachers and non-academic staff for evaluation activities. The university lecturers abstained from examination paper evaluation following the tax policy revision. The Federation of University Teachers Association yesterday decided to call off the trade union action. Accordingly, All Island United Teachers Union has requested to commence the evaluation process of examination papers as teachers have agreed to take part in the evaluation activities.
A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbing said that China will continue to support Chinese financial institutions in actively working out the debt treatment for Sri Lanka. He made these remarks in response to a query raised over the involvement of China in the restructuring process of Sri Lanka's debt. He said that China will work with relevant countries and international financial institutions to jointly play a positive role in helping Sri Lanka navigate the situation, ease its debt burden and achieve sustainable development. He said that China has also called on commercial and multilateral creditors to take part in Sri Lanka's debt restructuring based on fair burden sharing.
Sri Lanka donated a consignment of 4.6 tons of apparel to the victims of the recent earthquake in Turkey. Minister Ali Sabri handed over the consignment to the ambassador of Turkey to Sri Lanka, Rakibe Demet, recently at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Minister Sabri conveyed the solidarity of the government and the people of Sri Lanka with the people of Turkey, while highlighting the deep-rooted relations between the two countries. The Prime Minister's office and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka facilitated the donation. In the immediate aftermath of the devastating earthquake in Turkey, Sri Lanka donated a consignment of Ceylon tea to the victims of the earthquake.
The third round of bilateral political consultations between the Foreign Affairs Ministries of Sri Lanka and Oman was held recently. The consultations are considered as a significant step to further strengthening bilateral relations. Several new initiatives in the spheres of agriculture, tourism, education, higher education, fisheries, trade, investment, employment promotion, vocational training and skills development and culture were discussed at the meeting. It was proposed to enter into new bilateral agreements and MOUs and to revisit the existing agreements in order to consolidate such collaboration in the identified areas. The two sides agreed to work even closer together, acknowledging the importance of coordinating efforts in multilateral fora to address a range of issues such as environment, sustainable development and climate change. The fourth round of political consultations between Sri Lanka and Oman will be held next year in Sri Lanka. Now today is the 13th day of Sundara Nuwareliya Salalihini Wasantha 2023.
The national television is the media sponsor for the Nuwareliya Salalihini Wasantha.
Nuwareliya Salalihini Wasantha 2023.
We'll be back with more news from home after this break.
பரிசு பொங்கும் சம்பத் சேமிப்பு. இப்புது வருடத்தில் சம்பத் வங்கியில் சேமிப்பினை பொங்கிடச் செய்யும் அனைவருக்கும் பொங்கிடும் பரிசுகள் ஏராளம். 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய் சேமிப்பிற்கு பெறுமதிமிக்க பல்நோக்கு கைப்பை ஒன்று அல்லது எமர்ஜென்சி LED பல்ப் ஒன்று. 50,000 ரூபாய் சேமிப்பிற்கு பெறுமதிமிக்க குடை மற்றும் உணவு பை ஒன்று. சிறுவர் சேமிப்பு கணக்கின் 20,000 ரூபாய் சேமிப்பிற்கு பாடசாலை உபகரண பொதி ஒன்று. விவரங்களுக்கு அலையுங்கள் 0112 30 30 50. சம்பத் வங்கி, எதிர்காலத்தின் முன்னோடிகள்.
Prima Kottumi, hot and spicy Nava Vasarak Veva.
பிறக்கும் தமிழ் சிங்கள புத்தாண்டு சவால்களை வெல்லக்கூடிய எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் நிறைவேறும் சௌபாக்கியமான புத்தாண்டாகட்டும். மக்கள் வங்கியின் வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Welcome back, and we continue with more news from home. Coconut Development Authority has taken steps to promote Northern Province as the new coconut triangle.
The new Coconut Triangle is comprised of Jaffna, Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu districts. Now, one of the objectives of this initiative is to collaborate coconut within the northern province, which is renowned for palmyra. Over 500,000 coconut trees have already been planted in the northern province. Over 90 million coconuts are being harvested annually. Another 500,000 coconut saplings are to be planted in the region under the first phase of this new project. 1 million saplings are to be planted under 2 other phases. In addition, several large-scale factories affiliated with coconut products are to be initiated in the region. Overseas Tamil national investors have shown their interest in extending support for these projects. One of the aims of these projects is the development of the northern province. Now, the government of Sri Lanka signed an MOU with the Japanese multinational corporation Persona Inc.
The relevant agreement was reached to promote job opportunities for Sri Lankan workers in Japan, human resource development, Japanese investments in Sri Lanka and tourism promotions. The relevant MOU was signed during Minister Manusha Nanakara's official visit to Japan. The signing ceremony was held at the Wavy Riding Festival Theatre in Avaji Islands. Accordingly, Persona Incorporation will extend assistance to recruit Sri Lankan workers in Japanese institutions. Investment seminars and consultations will be carried out to attract investors. Training programs to improve skills of the professionals engaged in the tourism-related jobs will be initiated along with other efforts to attract Japanese tourists to Sri Lanka.
50 years have passed since the demise of the late Prime Minister Dudley Senanayake. The former leader of the United National Party assumed the premiership 4 times in history. Dudley Shelton Senanayake entered into politics in the year 1936, following the footsteps of independent Sri Lanka's first Prime Minister D.S. Senanayake. He entered the parliament representing the Dadigama electorate and continued to represent the electorate for 27 years at the legislature. He entered into politics at the age of 24. He was vested with the responsibility to implement agrarian colonies movement, including Galloya scheme, conceptualized by late Prime Minister D.S. Senanayake. He became the first Minister of Agriculture in independent Sri Lanka. In 1952, he was appointed to the premiership, which went vacant following the demise of Prime Minister D.S. Senanayake. He rendered an immense service for the poverty-ridden rural communities in the country. From 1965 to 1970, late Dudley Senanayake provided a rice ration for civilians free of charge. He also initiated the Mahavali Development Project, established the Anuradhapura Bhikkhu University and granted Poya days as holidays. He bids adieu to the nation on April 13th in 1973, concluding an important chapter of gentleman politics of the country.
Now, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina says Bangladesh attaches high priority to its relations with its neighbours, particularly with Sri Lanka. She made these remarks while speaking to outgoing Sri Lankan High Commissioner Professor Sudarshan D.S. Sanivaratne when he made a farewell call on her at her official residence, Gambavan. The Bangladeshi Premier said that Bangladesh and Sri Lanka can enhance bilateral cooperation in the areas of investment, agriculture, fisheries, pharmaceuticals, maritime connectivity and higher education. The Prime Minister said Bangladesh emphasizes maintaining good relations with its neighbours, including Sri Lanka.
Ambassador of Sri Lanka to Indonesia, Admiral Professor Jainath Kolomage, paid a courtesy call on Indonesian Minister of Manpower Ida Fauzia recently. Minister Fauzia agreed to exchange information on employment opportunities between the two countries. Minister Fauzia mentioned that one of the national priorities of the Indonesian government is to strengthen the manpower sector. The minister expressed willingness to share the best practices in the employment sector with the government of Sri Lanka. And that's a wrap of local news. Stay tuned for foreign news after this break.
Prima Kottumi hot and spicy නව වසරක් වේවා.
Welcome back. On foreign news, more than 160 people are feared to have been killed in airstrike by the Myanmar military, one of the deadliest so far in the civil war.
The United Nations has condemned the attack, which targeted a village in the northwestern region.
The military has increasingly used airstrikes against other opponents since seizing power in February 2021. Anti-coup militias known as People's Defense Forces are waging an armed campaign against the military in various parts of Myanmar. Communities in Assam have put up some of the strongest opposition to military rule. Relatives were still recovering the bodies of victims who were killed in the military airstrike on a village in central Myanmar yesterday. The village, which was attacked by Myanmar junta, has been packed with people from nearby communities.
Now, the US believes the UN Secretary General is too willing to accommodate Russian interests, according to fresh revelations in classified documents leaked online. The files suggest Washington has been closely monitoring Antonio Guterres. Several documents describe private communications involving UN Chief Guterres and his deputy. It is the latest from a leak of secret documents. The documents contain candid observations from the UN chief about the war in Ukraine and a number of African leaders. One leaked document focuses on the Black Sea grain deal brokered by the UN and Turkey in July following fears of a global food crisis. It suggests that UN General Secretary Guterres was so keen to preserve the deal that he was willing to accommodate Russia's interests. His actions in February, according to the assessment, were undermining broader efforts to hold Moscow accountable for its actions in Ukraine. UN officials bristled at the suggestion that the world's top diplomat was being soft on Moscow. Russia has frequently complained that its own exports of grain and fertilizer are being adversely affected by international sanctions and has threatened at least twice to suspend cooperation with the grain deal.
Prima Kottumi hot and spicy නව වසරක් වේවා.
Now on sports news, the Sri Lankan squad for